I think the difference between the Rathbones Folio Prize and some of the literary prizes, I suppose, is the Academy, the Folio Academy.
In a contemporary landscape in which prizes have so much sway, it's really important for readers to know that there does exist a prize that is rigorous, that is fair, that is unpoliticised, and that is judged by practitioners.
By the time you get to the shortlist, you know there's been a level of scrutiny that's already gone on, and the level, the quality is going to be pretty high, and it was.
I was looking for something that would affect me deeply, a generosity of vision, an understanding of the world in the book.
To say we were comparing prose fiction with non-fiction, with poetry, doesn't even begin to do justice to the range of approaches, the nuances of genre and hybrid forms. So I think we tried to take each book on its own terms. If these 8 titles we've ended up with share anything, I guess it's a commitment to language.
Language has been a real thread that has been explored through the books, particularly the idea of the footings of language losing meaning, losing currency in certain spaces.
It got tough as we got to the kind of pointy end, as we got to the final shortlist. But that was always going to happen, 80 into 8.
The most exciting thing about Grand Union by Zadie Smith is how humour is used as a political force and how it captures the big joke of being alive and the absurdity of trying to capture that in the creative endeavour, the way in which the different plural identities of the narrator are laid bare. You've got someone who's an old person at the same time as being a young person, a lover, a teacher, a wife, a parent. It's an audacious piece of work, tragicomic, epic in scope. I can't stop thinking about it.
Vertigo and Ghost struck us as a truly original collection of poetry, the first half of which transposes ancient Greek mythology into a criminal record of violence against women, a block capital Zeus held to account. And then the second half we found extremely moving for its personalised record of depression, motherhood, tenderness, often with poems that start off with a disarming simplicity that turns with furious lyricism towards darker, more troubling spaces that in fact echo the first part of the book.
The Topeka School is a novel by Ben Lerner, and it's about a teenager who's coming of age 20 odd years ago in Clinton's America in Topeka, Kansas. It's a brainy book, largely about brainy people set in a privileged and well-educated environment. In a way, you can read it as an origin myth for the state of public discourse in America today. It's a book full of ideas, essayistic asides, but if all of this makes it sound cerebral or bloodless, it absolutely isn't. It has a wonderful, energetic narrative. It provides plenty of drama, biting emotional engagement. It's a dense, chewy, brilliant, intelligent novel about communication, and it gives you a rush to the head and the heart.
When I was reading On Chapel Sands, I had goosebumps because Laura Cumming has the delicacy and belief of a forensic pathologist when it comes to solving the mystery at the heart of the book. It's written so beautifully that you can't help but be carried along in this search for identity, for meaning, and for intergenerational understanding.
Constellations is a book of essays that maps the purely personal inside a shared experience, a communal experience. It's the self-politicised, and what marked it out for us is the delicacy and the candour of the writing. Grief, physical pain, theocentric politics, Ireland, a claiming of ownership of the female body, and, just to borrow some language from the book, burrows deep into the marrow of a shared experience of what it can mean to be a mother, a child, a woman.
Victory by James Lasden. It's an unusual book. It's two novellas yoked together and paired as one between the covers. Both of these novellas have parallels and echoes and similarities. They both feature central male characters who have male friends going through some kind of crisis. And in different ways, this brings them into conflict and crisis. At heart, I think both books are about the various ways in which men kid themselves and sustain a sense of themselves. Lasden here in both stories is such an agile, stylish writer, but I think we all found this to be driven, rich, complex work, rippling with doubts and uncertainties, which packs a real punch, actually, and it's work that you don't forget in a hurry.
Guest House for Young Widows is a book that I think all three of us would like to put into the hands of politicians on both sides of the Atlantic, because it tells stories that we don't commonly get to hear, and we should. The book portrays an intimate narrative of 13 young women who move to Iraq and to Syria to become brides and followers of ISIS. And the book manages to show all of the nuance and complexity and disenfranchised messiness of personal motivation, and ultimately shows that the answer that politicians want to find is not, in fact, a simple or a single one.
Lost Children Archive is a grand, sweeping American road trip devoid of sentimentality and instead full of this interplay of overheard sound, historical information, documentary reportage. It's not afraid to ask the big, shaming questions and make the reader culpable in answering them. What do we owe our children? What do those children think of the fact that we live in a world where other children can be separated from their parents?
It's a real privilege to read 80 books that have been published in the last year. We talked quite a lot about the difference between enjoying a book in our slippers and enjoying a book at the desk. And I think all three of us have found that the very best books are the ones that have stayed with us, and they're the ones that we want to return to both in our slippers and at the desk.